Hello, everyone. My name is Alfred Cromwell, and if you are not familiar with this channel, I am the founder and president of City Tutoring, and I have been speaking on a variety of topics for the past ever since I opened this channel for communicating with broader audiences at the request of many of my students. I am a pure mathematics professor, and I wanted to make this video because something incredibly powerful has happened in my life. And I wanted to first thank every single one of you who has been praying for me nonstop. Your prayers have not only have they worked, but I can confidently say that God has opened up a new chapter in my life. And really, what I've seen is that God has called me back to my original vocation in life. And what you are about to hear today might be very shocking to some of you, but I think after I thought about this very seriously before making this video because it's rather personal, and I normally don't like to mix personal with professional topics, we'll say. But I figured that because there is also a moral lesson to take out from this, from something that has happened to me. I believe it could be of benefit to many of you who have been entrapped by some of the more popular philosophies going around these days. Because something very powerful and radical has happened in my life, and I've lost everything. And I'll get to that in a moment. Because there exists in every age a class that mistakes its habits for eternal truths and its conveniences for moral laws. And in our own age, this class is neither aristocratic nor much less heroic. Instead, what we've got is a managerial, rootless, globalist, a priesthood of this class of rootless individuals draped in the false flag of consumption, moderation, they call it, when it comes to the political realm, as they surrender their lives and freedom to banks and corporations only in the name of the pursuit of happiness. And they really believe that happiness, which they tend to define as material wealth, material possessions, is freedom, and it is not. It is this class of people that has canonized home ownership, not as shelter. Men have always sheltered themselves. It's a necessity of life, but as identity. Our ancestors did not create an identity around their home, their house, unless there was some sort of lineage to the house or the village. And it is a strange and terrible thing, and yet a revelation to watch an entire set of properties leave your name. Strange because the event is outwardly, for many of you, so small. It's a signature affixed, a seal impressed, a ledger marked, a recording. And yet terrible in a sense because it severs not only the walls from your grasp, but the illusions they nurture, the weight they impose, the false dignity they confer, and revelation because in the very moment of loss, one discovers the truth that possession had long concealed, that one is freer, richer, and more sovereign than one had ever dared imagine. I lost everything officially today. And I tell you, I lost nothing that truly belonged to me. For all the years that I called it mine, that sprawling plantation, I was in truth possessed by it. It demanded constant attention, endless calculation, vigilance of a kind that dulls the spirit and narrows the heart. every floorboard in that old 19th century house, every tile, every bill and receipt became an instrument of my captivity. The walls whispered softly but insistently, do not stray, do not risk, do not move. And I obeyed as men obey invisible masters when the punishment is quiet but relentless. We have been taught in every age that ownership is virtue, that permanence uh, tied to a debt is honor, or at least desirable, that accumulation proves character, and it is a lie, and it is a cruel lie. You see, the bourgeois mind confuses weight with worth. It applauds the man who bears chains, who carefully calculates, who shrinks his life to the square footage he possesses. It does not measure courage, curiosity, or freedom. It measures caution. And the cunning of this ideology that infects much of the Western world, but particularly so in the United States of America, is that the enslaved man believes himself free. But today, my plantation and the house, everything, the land passed from me. And in that very act, I discovered the extraordinary liberty of lightness. I had always suspected that there was something off, but was unable to either put it into practice, let alone into words. But now my spirit is completely unshackled, and my steps answer to God, to the wind, to the tides, to the sun above, to nothing else. And I dwell not in a fortress, of not in a suburban type of prison, as I was until recently, but really in a gentleman's manor. And it's a house, thankfully, that is maintained not by my labor, not by my anxieties, but by the considerate supervision of a landlady whose civility preserves order without demanding ownership. You see, there are still some angels left on this planet. And I happen to have come across them thanks to your prayers, thanks to God has blessed me in so many ways by always having me surrounded with people who have brought nothing but blessings to my life. And here I am neither master nor slave. I am neither proprietor nor administrator, but guest and witness. I now occupy a space that allows me to breathe, to think, to move, without the unbearable weight of accumulation. And consider for a moment what it means to be bound to property. It is to measure every thought by its consequences. It is to weigh every decision against the potential cost of repair, of maintenance, of depreciation, or inflation. It is to live in a state of perpetual deferment for what truly matters, where the present is subordinated to the preservation of a past and often permanent choice. Or should I say, punishment? You see, the house does not command with voice or threat. It commands with subtlety, with the quiet insistence of permanence to a debt for the vast majority of people. Even those of you who do not have, those of us who did not have any kind of mortgage, you still are tied to the obligations of the property. So it teaches men to fear life itself, because life is motion, and motion threatens what they call stability. This is why so many men today are cowards, because they are afraid, and I'm sure many of you have heard this. When you have a strong conviction, they will tell you, oh, I can't say that, I might lose my job. And they are afraid of losing their job because they would rather maintain their material possessions rather than speak God's truths. But I will not entertain such a slavery. And we confuse this captivity, perversely enough, with as something virtuous. It is not. You mistake calculation for wisdom, vigilance for prudence, and endurance of some kind to a debt for honor. And so the modern world reveres the homeowner, the investor, they're called, the manager of possessions above all else, not the man of God, not the man of honor, not the man of virtue. And the very men who most fear risk, which are the cowards we have in our society today, they are hailed as examples. And those who seek freedom, true freedom, are dismissed as foolish or even indolent or even immoral. Because I know for a fact that this video is going to trigger many people who are homeowners. How dare I go against the corporate narrative? But they do not understand that the man who owns little, who abandons weight and prestige deliberately, is in truth more powerful, more mobile, and more sovereign than the most encumbered landlord. If you have nothing to lose, you have all the much to gain. And the truly dangerous man, historically, morally, spiritually, is the man who owns nothing. Not because of you are destitute, but because it makes you unmoored. You can depart at will, think at will, act at will. And his life is governed not by obligations, but by ledgers, by repair schedules, by mortgages, or by appearances in court due to tenants, but by the imperatives of his own reason, conscience, and courage. He is unshackled, and the world bows to no one more quietly and completely than to one who answers to nothing but himself, but to himself and to God. And so I stand today, having lost every single material possession that I had, including the furniture. And I say this, I have gained everything. Not possessions, but autonomy. Not security, but liberty, as our ancestors. Not permanence, but the eternal possibility of motion and doing the Lord's work. I am free to rise as I wish, to wander in the warmth of days, to watch the distant horizon without apology or constraint, and the sea nearby, the wind, beautiful wind, warm wind, the lack of obligation to corporations, all these have become my allies. Reminding me, because God has taught me this lesson, it was a very expensive lesson, by the way, that God has taught me. I lost everything. I lost a lot, almost all. I have nothing to my name. But it has reminded me, thank God, that life is not to be measured by walls, but by the expanse one can traverse for God and for freedom. You see, the scriptures have long taught this truth in their severe and paradoxical wisdom. The Bible says, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life shall find it." And no, it is not a call to destitution. Don't you dare interpret it that way. Many of you will interpret it that way because of malicious intentions. It is not an endorsement of chaos. It is simply a declaration that freedom, wisdom, and even joy are found not in what you clutch, but in what you are willing to release. And the man who clings to walls, who polices possessions, who worships accumulation, is enslaved. The man who embraces lightness, who relinquishes, release, surrenders, who steps aside from the false altar of ownership, discovers sovereignty, true sovereignty as God intended. I lost all I had today. It is now official. It is a legal document. I own nothing to my name. I gave it all up. I sold the house, the plantation, and I gave up all my material possessions to charity because I am sure a family could use my wonderful solid wood furniture much more so than I would ever be able to use it. And yet I am not diminished. I have shed what demanded guarding, and I have kept what requires courage. I am now completely unbound, exposed to God's will, and I am tempered by civility but free from the chains. And some of you might say that that's undesirable. I call it something deliberate. It is wisdom. If you call this loss, I call this gain beyond measure. After all, you are the ones trapped. So let the world judge as it pleases. Let the bourgeois class measure me by square footage, by walls, by the amount of certificates. Many of you have that problem. You judge people on the basis of what degrees they have. That's what you measure. You don't look at the mathematics they know or the principles of mathematics they defend. You look at where they went to school. It's ridiculous. It says a lot about you. But I measure myself by breadth of movement, by the clarity of my thoughts, by the weight of nothing but courage. Because in reality, I have lost what was never really mine and discovered what has always been within reach. Thank God he has opened my eyes once again. And I have lost property, but paradoxically, I have gained the world and recovered my freedom. So thank you all for your prayers. Thank you all for the support that you have shown to me as an individual, even though I do not deserve any kind of support. I wish I could do more for you. But now I am free. I am free once again. I have, to say I am rejuvenated would be a lie because we do not rejuvenate ourselves, we age. But I can say that I believe I am now reinstated. And I am in the position that I was in many years ago when I was truly a free man. And I am all the happier for it. And many of you have even noticed, you have said that my countenance has changed, that I seem more calm. And yes, indeed. So thank you once again. And I will be posting videos on mathematics, as I told you. Tomorrow is Friday. So tomorrow I shall try to post something from another classroom space that I'll show you. That is that one has an actual smartboard, electronic. So I know many of you appreciate the sort of the technology. I prefer chalk, blackboard and chalk, but that's another story. So your prayers have worked, God has intervened, and I am now a free man. I am no longer in prison. Thank you all, and we will be just keep up with the channel. If this is interesting to you, please subscribe and continue to support the mission of this channel. I do have also, we have a pure mathematics channel, which I will link down below in the description.